Will the Special Committee on Real Property Tax Reform meeting please come to order? It is December 9th and 1:35 p.m. I am your chair, Alice Lee, speaking to the vast audience. This online meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Sunshine Law. As a reminder, when your name is called, if you are not in the council chamber, please state your location and identity and identify by name who, if anyone, is in the room with you, in your room, vehicle, or workspace. Minors do not need to be identified. Okay, the committee voting members are Vice Chair Kiani Rollins-Fernandez, Member Gabe Johnson, Member Yukile Sugimura. Non-voting members are Tom Cook, Member Tamara Paulton, Member Shane Senensi, and Member Nohe Uuhajens. And with us from the Department of Finance, Marcy Martin, Director of Finance, Kari Stockwell, County Real Property Tax Administrator, Corporation Counsel, Christy Rigglesworth, Deputy Corporation Counsel, Committee Staff, Jean Pokipala, Council Services Assistant Clerk, Peter Hanano, Legislative Attorney, Kristen Zabo, Legislative Analyst, James Kruger, Senior Legislative Analyst, Maria Leon, Committee Secretary. So please see the last page of the agenda for more information on meeting connectivity. Thank you, members, for attending today's meeting. We have 4 items on the agenda this afternoon. And the agenda items are Raptor 11, which is Bill 146, 2025, on principal home exemption application deadlines. Raptor 7, Bill 142, 2025, on the home exemption and long-term rental exemption from real property tax. Raptor 16, Bill 168, 2025, to establish a real property tax exemption to increase and maintain access to affordable housing. Raptor 17, Bill 181, 2025, increasing the amount of the home and long-term rental exemptions from real property tax. Let's begin with public testimony. Do we have anyone here to testify? Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to give you the instructions. Testifiers wanting to provide testimony should sign up with staff, join the online meeting via the Teams link, or call in to the phone number noted on today's agenda. Written testimony is encouraged and can be submitted via the e-comment link at mauicounty.us/agendas as well. Under the Sunshine Law, the chair will receive oral testimony for agenda items at the beginning of the meeting and as the item is called up. For individuals wishing to testify via Teams, please raise your hand by clicking on the raise your hand button. If calling in, please follow the phone prompts. *5 to raise your hand or lower your hand. *6 to mute or unmute. Staff will add names to the testifier list in the order testifiers sign up or raise their hands. For those on Teams, staff will lower your hand once your name is added. Staff will then call the name you logged in under the last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to testify. At this time, staff will also enable your microphone and video. Please ensure your name appears in Microsoft Teams as the name you prefer to be referred to as anonymous if you wish to testify anonymously. If you're in person, please notify staff that you would like to testify anonymously. Otherwise, please state your name for the record at the beginning of the testimony. Oral testimony is limited to 3 minutes per item. If you are still testifying beyond that time, I will kindly ask you to complete your testimony. Once you are done testifying, or if you do not wish to testify, you can always view the meeting on Akaku Channel 53, Facebook Live, or mauicounty.us/agendas. We will do our best to take each person up in an orderly fashion. We'll now call on testifiers wishing to testify at the beginning of the meeting. Unless, of course, you would like me to repeat the instructions. Anybody? Okay.
Chair.
Yes. Yes, Member Rollins
I think
Fernandez?
when you, I assume that you did attendance, and I assume you may have called on me and I didn't respond. I could not hear you. There was no audio in the beginning of the meeting. So I'm here. There's currently no one here at my private residence. But my Hanai sister, Ayla Velijuf, is occasionally coming in and out. And there are currently no testifiers at the Molokai District Office. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, we did take roll call. We thought you were on, but I guess we didn't hear you. All right. Would you like me to read the instructions again?
Yes, please, from the very beginning.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm kidding.
And so was I. Okay, let's see. Let's call on our first testifier.
Chair, the first person signed up to testify is Alan Lloyd, to be followed by Jonathan Helton.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Sorry, it's good afternoon. Council members, I'm testifying on Bill 168 and Bill 181, which I understand allows me to have 6 minutes because I'm testifying on 2 items. My name is Alan Lloyd. I'm a resident of Wailuku. I'm speaking on behalf of the Maui Democratic Socialists and the Maui Tenant and Workers Association. Something needs to be done about high rents in Maui. As you can see from my handout, which I gave to that lady over there, rents have gone up in 2025. We also know that condo and home values have gone down. So here are our concerns about the original Bill 168 under your consideration. The exemptions of $100,000 are too low to incentivize landlords to offer rent at 70% of FMR. Ideally, to incentivize landlords enough to reduce rents, the property should be totally exempt, similar to the Lahaina fire survivor property owners. At a minimum, the landlord who lives on the property, who has a home, who may have a home exemption, should be offered the home exemption, and if they have tenants, the long-term rental exemption. Yes, and realistically, the exemption being offered now is not enough to incentivize landlords, as I mentioned, because they can make more income without using the exemption. Lastly, second from lastly on this point, all property owners that rent to tenants should be required to participate in this tax exemption program. It is now voluntary for landlords. They must be required to participate, or enough will not, to create affordable rents and increase affordable housing on Maui. History has proven this true. A total property exemption was offered to landlords to house fire survivors. Only 6% of those offered took that exemption. Second, we support the property's rent to be no more than 70% of fair market rent. All right, next, here are concerns about the amended Bill 168 under your consideration. We support the amended version to replace the original version, except first in the what's called the affordable long-term rental section, the non-owner occupied. We propose that any owner that provides 70% of FMR and below rent should be totally exempt, no matter if the value of their property is over or under $400,000. For those who occupy, owner-occupied, we propose again that the owner should be totally exempt, no matter if the value is over or under $500,000. We ask, why does the owner-occupied in the amended bill get less of an exemption than the absentee off-island owner? Lastly, on amended Bill 168, we we support those landlords that live on their property and rent. And so providing them a total property tax exemption is what we recommend, or a minimum of $700,000 exemption.
Okay, before you go on, members, have any questions for the testifier? Okay, nobody? Yeah, you want to continue?
Yes, thank you. Okay, Bill 181. We oppose Bill 181 because it does not provide an incentive for affordable long-term rentals. In fact, it disincentivizes owners to provide affordable rentals. Lastly, Councilmember Kama had proposed very similar legislation, and she included language in her bill that included certification from the Director of Housing that the rent the landlord is charging meets the bill's requirements, which is not in Bill 168 or the amended bill. So my question is, how will the director validate those rents amounts? Second, Councilmember Kama's bill called for a deadline when landlords can state the rent amount to get the exemption. There is no deadline in Bill 168 or amended 168. Mahalo for your time.
Thank you. Members, do you have any questions? No questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
May we have the next testifier, please?
Chair, the next person signed up to testify is Jonathan Helton on Teams, to be followed by the individual logged in as the Royal House of Hawaii.
All right, good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. I'm Jonathan Helton. I am with the Grassroots Institute of Hawaii, and I am here today to speak in favor of Bill 181. I've submitted written comments on this. We also submitted written comments in support of Bill 146, but I'm just going to address Bill 181 in my comments. So I think the important thing to point out is that both the homeowner exemption and the long-term rental exemption would increase by $100,000. So the homeowner exemption would increase from $300,000 to $400,000, the long-term rental exemption from $200,000 to $300,000. The reason Grassroots supports this is because this mirrors the increases in assessments that those classes have seen over the past several years. So I'll give you an example. It's in my written testimony. The homeowner exemption was last increased for fiscal year 2024. Since fiscal year 2024, the average gross assessed value of a property in the homeowner tax class has increased by 28%. Increasing the exemption by $100,000 would roughly be a 28% increase. It's a 25% increase. So we definitely support that. And it's very similar for the long-term rental exemption. It was last increased a couple of years ago. Since then, the assessed values for that class have increased by over 50%. So this exemption increase, I think, is warranted. Ultimately, higher assessments are going to lead to higher tax bills unless the council dramatically lowers rates for that class. And I think a lot of Maui homeowners and long-term rental owners have seen that over the past couple of years with the higher levels of assessments that have been coming in. So because of that, Grassroots thinks it is basically increasing the exemptions to keep up with inflation or assessments, trying to give people some relief from the housing crisis. Happy to answer any questions about that, but full support of 181.
Members, do you have any questions? If not, thank you very much.
Chair, the last person we have signed up to testify is the individual logged in as the Royal House of Hawaii.
Aloha, this is the Royal House of Hawaii and Alorio land tenant and holder of Hewa Hewa and Manua. So I just wanted to comment on this and acknowledge that how are any of these exemptions allowed and approved? Because these are all illegal owners, as you should know, unless you are a descendant of the royal patented land, the specific royal patented land, because all of Hawaii is royal patented. If someone is not a descendant trying to claim for exemptions, that's highly illegal because they are not a descendant, number one. And number two, they are not landowners. They are not landlords also. There's Hawaii Revised Statute 172-11. I'm pretty sure that all these lands were trying to be were at least sold more than once and was traded and given or either given to someone else, which is highly illegal because the descendants were not called up because all of Hawaii is royal patented and that this is highly illegal for any person that is not a descendant to have any kind of exemption. And I just want to even if you use eminent domain to steal our lands, that's highly illegal. And I'm wondering how is this legal in any shape or form, because it is not legal if they are not a descendant, and none of these people are a descendant and should not have any right to file for exemption because they are illegal owners, literally. Prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. Because, it really doesn't make sense to me and all the other descendants of these lands. And how is anybody getting these exemptions? That's not a descendant. It really does not make sense to me. And they could never be a landholder or whatever because they're not even doing kuleana and taking care of the land, whatever. Like it's so weird. So the royal patent supersedes and is the most clear title out of all fake titles made on a TMK. You guys should read your guys' paperwork on your guys' house paperwork. And why are the royal patents being erased from the house paperwork? That's highly illegal because you guys should know that those are the titles to the original meets and bounds of Hawaii, of Ko Hawaii Pai Aina. And I wanted to finish up that it is a violation and a crime on an international level, frauding our lands. And there are many laws backing up my statement. There's laws put in place that you have to contact the descendants of the royal patented lands, and you guys haven't. And even if you guys did, and if someone sold the rest of it, sold their part, and the rest of the descendants never even agree, so it doesn't even matter because Hawaii Revised Statute 172-11, no matter what, it has to be returned to the original title holders, which are the title holders of the royal patents from the Mahele. You guys should all know this. How you guys acting like you guys don't know this? And if there's no action going to be done, that you guys are still continuing and participating in the erasure of the descendants of Hawaii and the animals and everything around. Period. And you guys using our resources and all of this. All the lands is dead because people that want to do and have exemptions for properties that they don't even take care of, like please make it make sense. How is any of this legal? And I'll be writing a written testimony probably also. And return the lands to the royal patent descendants, because any of these people that are not a descendant trying to file for exemptions are committing crimes and is a violation on an international level. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, do you have any questions? If not, thank you very much. Next testifier.
Chair, we currently have no one else signed up to testify at the beginning of the meeting, but there is an individual in the gallery indicating they'd like to testify.
Thanks, James. And thank you, Alice Lee, for doing this extra work stuff. And thank you all the members of the Ku'ikawa no ka ho'oponopono Auhau vai vai pa'a. And thank you all the previous testifiers. I reckon we're learning. So keep on trying. Nuna Ho'omololi, I appreciate your patience. I didn't, I know I try you sometimes, and I appreciate you trying to help run the county and doing the best you can under the rule of the United States military. Segue into the United States, they have this law I heard of. I never really checked it out. I think it's one of the amendments that the religious guys, I think they call it the 501c3, nonprofit, religious, faith-based stuff, they're exempt from property tax. And I'm not really like a lawyer expert on real estate stuff. But my clarifying question is, if they were paying, if all the religious organizations that claimed exemptions ever since 1893, if we were to add up all the money that they didn't pay the Kingdom of Hawaii people, how much money would that be? And I would like to see sometime, hopefully in the near future, by the time I die, that the county, maybe through the OEV Resources Department, using the same kind of mechanism that allows the tribes of the United States to run casinos underneath the federal government and stuff, to keep the feds from coming and messing with you, then we could somehow charge the churches to pay their fair share. And also, yeah, there's got to be some kind of a scorecard, because it's not all churches are doing bad, but just before I came over here, the Salvation Army guys, I was trespassing on the land, not trespassing in a criminal way, but just walking across the land there. And with the Captain Romelia got on the phone, I don't know if she was calling the police or not, but she said she was. You're not supposed to threaten to call the police, you're just supposed to call them. But I got out of there before the police came, because I don't really want to waste their time. And why are they using county taxpayers' resources if they're not paying us any money? Thank you for that.
Any questions? If not, thank you. Next testifier.
Chair, there's currently no one else signed up to testify at the beginning of the meeting, so we'll do a last call. If there is anyone who'd like to testify at the beginning of the meeting, please identify yourself now. On Teams, you can do that by using the raise hand function. We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one else to testify.
Okay, any objections to closing public testimony at the beginning of the meeting? So ordered. Okay, so the first item is actually RPTR 11, Bill 146, 2025, regarding principal home exemption application deadlines. And I think I've mentioned it before. This item is an area of a lot of concern with new affordable housing projects coming up that were already approved by the council in terms of the income levels, the qualifications for income levels, and so forth. So they are already deemed affordable, and they must be owner-occupied. Yet these people will still have to apply for their exemption, their homeowner's exemption, even though the council already approved their qualifications. So what happens is, if their units are ready, let's say in January, then they have to pay the tax classification of non-owner occupied for 12 months. And that's considerably more than the owner occupied. So thousands of dollars, it could be thousands of dollars more, for which many people don't have that kind of money. So because we know ahead of time which units are going to be, should be exempt, we should figure out a way to exempt them ahead of time so that these people don't have to apply for a home exemption. Now, I've had several one-on-one meetings with the department, Director of Finance, and we have not quite reached, Carrie, am I wrong? As of last week, did you find a solution? No? Okay, why don't you take it away and provide your comments on the specifics of what we're dealing with, because I know we're getting pretty close to a solution. Director Martin?
Chair, real quick, are we
Yes.
on Bill 146?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to have the resource folks provide comments first.
Thank you, Chair. And we've discussed various ways to address this. We've discussed the half-year exemption.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
Yes. We have discussed various ways to address this. We have discussed the half-year exemption, which would mirror the program that the Big Island has. And we have also discussed creating a program like our current program for fast-tracked housing, where we pre-identify properties slated for affordable development, but we are unable to reassess as of the date of sale, and further, we believe that applicants should apply to, for their exemptions to be granted.
Apply before they occupy the units? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, they can apply before they occupy the unit, but exemptions should be, for the most part, by application.
So if they applied before occupying the property, because let's say it's under construction and the estimated date for occupancy is March. It's too late, generally, it's too late to apply for the home exemption by December 31st. So you're saying even though they're not going to occupy until March, they can pre-apply for the home exemption so that they're not charged for non-owner occupied from March all the way until December 31st. Is that what you're saying?
No, Chair. What I was thinking was that once the properties are identified as affordable workforce housing, that they have a deeded restriction on them, that deeded restriction be recognized, and then that would lower the assessment that would allow the new owner to apply business as usual, and then they would realize the savings of the property as is before it was finished, and then they would realize the savings of the home exemption once they qualified.
Okay. I believe that this still needs more work. Yeah, so because these owners generally have no control over when their units are going to be done. So we need to figure out, fine-tune this a little bit. Yeah,
Chair?
yes.
Thank you. I agree with you, and we will be working on that, and we'll be ready for this. So right now we're in December, so we're coming really close to the new assessment date, but I would say, can we address it this summer, do you think?
Summer?
Yeah, the summer, or do you want us to keep working on it right now?
Keep on working on it. We have a few more weeks at
Okay,
least to come up with
okay.
something. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you, Chair.
Okay, staff, are we supposed to ask for testimony?
Yes, Chair, we
Go
have
ahead.
one individual signed up to testify, and that would be Tom Crowley on Teams.
Aloha, Chair.
Hi.
Tom Crowley, following this very closely. And I want to relate to when I was serving on the Real Property Tax Board of Review. We had some cases come before us at that time that were exactly what you described. They were affordable housing, and these folks got into the housing and didn't realize that they needed to apply for the homeowner thing, and then they got their tax assessment and saw that their classification was not homeowner. We, the board, had our hands tied, and we were not able to grant them their homeowner exemption, although we wanted to. The solution that I had proposed back then, and I proposed it through the late Tasha Kama's office, was give the board the ability to grant these types of homeowner exemptions after the fact. And that's something that if you did right now, we would be able to fix for the next tax year before something new comes up, you know, a new development or whatever. That allowed the board to evaluate the circumstances and say this was a valid claim for a owner-occupied property, and we grant that. We were advised by corporate counsel that unless they followed the procedure and applied on time and blah, 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 we had to deny these. And I felt very bad in having to be the one to sign the documents saying we're denying this, because as you well know, it's a large, large sum of taxes that these affordable housing folks cannot deal with. That's one issue. That's the department came up with some kind of a solution to that, which would be if we identify these properties in advance, these newly constructed properties, then they could make sure that they get put into the right category. But then there's the issue that we also have been talking about, which is when someone buys a home that is not an owner-occupied home, but they intend to occupy it, and maybe they're buying it using some of the funds that came from the CDBG DR funds, and they are required to occupy it as owner-occupied. We want to make sure that those guys are not knocked out of the block by the high taxation. We have some other things on the agenda that might address this, but it's a broad problem. And then there's the third category, and that is the properties that someone is making available for rental and possibly for affordable rental, as one of the policies here is. And again, we need to be able to change the tax classification, not just once a year where it could be out of whack for as much as 18 months. So as you said, Chair, we need to work on this more. But one thing that I would put forward would be give the Board of Review the ability to grant these owner-occupied exemptions when good cause is shown that it's deserved, despite the fact that they may have missed the deadline or some aspect of the requirements for getting an owner-occupied homeowner exemption. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Tom. Questions, clarifying questions for Tom Crowley? If not, thank you very much. Next testifier.
Chair, the individual logged in as the Royal House of Hawaii has raised their hand, so we're unmuting them to see if there's someone else with them who wants to testify on this item, but we have that individual as having already testified on RPTR 11 and RPTR 7, so we might need some clarity as to what items they testified at the beginning of the meeting and if they are testifying now.
Oh, never mind. I thought we could testify more, but I guess not.
Chair, so we have this person as having testified on RPTR 11 and RPTR 7. So there's two other items he hasn't testified on, but this is only testimony on RPTR 11 right now.
Okay.
Okay, then I'll speak on the other one then, if I could testify.
No, we're just taking up 11 right now.
Oh, and I signed up for that already.
Yeah, you spoke on it already. You can speak on another one as they come up. We have like 4 different bills.
So Chair, so we have this individual as having testified on RPTR 11 and RPTR 7, so we can return to them when testimony is reopened for RPTR 16 or 17.
Okay, you can testify on 16 or, what did you say?
16 or 17 when the committee goes back to
Yeah,
testimony. for those
16 or
items.
17, Royal House.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, mahalo.
all right. So any other testifiers?
Chair, the last person signed up to testify on this item is James Langford in the chamber.
Okay.
Hello, Chair. Hello, Council Committee people. Bill 146 falls under which of the four numbers today? 11, thank you.
Yeah.
Identifying, just so I can clarify what's going on. Bill, the 146's intent is to let people avoid a full year of a wrong tax.
Classification.
Okay. The current rule is to get owner-occupied or long-term rental status, buyer must file by December 31st.
Yes.
Okay, so this bill aims to let exemptions take effect in the same year they are filed so that the buyer is not stuck paying non-owner or occupied rates for a full year. Is it, okay, yeah. Okay, so the bill structure might want to have a automated reclassification trigger on the back end. When a deed is recorded, it shows a transfer to an individual or a qualified trust, and then a shared equity and a deed-restricted affordable covenant. That's what actualizes what you're going for. The Real Property Assessment Division must provisionally classify the property as owner-occupied eligible or shared equity eligible for the remaining portion of the tax year, subject to a timely exemption filing. And then that would satisfy the chair's concern that people shouldn't be hit as non-owner occupied just because they missed the technical timing window. Number two, the buyer still files an exemption, business as usual. Keep the rule that the home exemption, long-term rental exemption application must be filed but allow if filed by end of the year, date X, if or after. Classification switches from non-owner occupied to owner occupied for the remainder of the current tax year. And then there's a prorated portion of the exemption value that would apply for that year, which is what Bill 146 is contemplating at the moment. And then three, an escrow process trigger. And so it reduces frictions and missed deadlines. It allows the exemption to be executed in submission in escrow with a buyer's exemption, the application signed at closing, that's what she's saying, and then the escrow confirming the intended owner occupancy. And then the escrow transmitting the application to the county with a copy of the recorded deed, or deed restriction might be the language. That way the automation is, if a deed with deed restriction / affordable covenant is recorded and an exemption form is submitted, often via escrow, the system flips the class automatically for the rest of the year and stop. So it's the sentence would be, Bill 146 should automatically flag deed-restricted affordable properties and new individual owner occupants for the same year reclassification when the deed is recorded while still recording the buyer to the file standard home or long-term rental exemption, ideally at escrow. Once identified with deeded restriction, the assessment can be lowered and the class corrected mid-year, and any subsequent buyer would simply apply and process business as usual.
Thank you. Clarifying questions, members? Good ideas. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
James?
Chair, there's currently no one else signed up to testify on this item, so we'll do a last call. If there's anyone else who'd like to sign up to testify on RPTR 11, please identify yourself now. On Teams, you can do that by raising your hand. We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Chair, there is no one else to testify on this item.
Thank you. Members, now questions from you to Finance?
Chair, so just to
Oh, we have to
clarify.
close testimony, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's easier to conduct a council meeting. Too many twists and turns. Any objections to closing public testimony on item number 11? And accepting written testimony? Okay, so ordered. Okay, members, now you may ask finance your questions, if you have any. Yes, member Sugimura.
Yeah, thank you. Are you going to defer this item? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, I have no questions.
Member Rollins Fernandez? Did you have any
I
questions?
didn't raise my hand. Oh, no, I don't.
Okay.
But thank
Okay,
you for your work.
Mr. Langford made some good suggestions, some of which we have already discussed with the finance director. And her response to me is that they do not have the software that's needed for like a mid-year, exemption. And they do not have the staffing to handle those kinds of changes mid-year. That's the reason why we continue to work on this. There's got to be a solution. Right now, a solution, which is not the solution, is similar to the Big Island where they have the mid-year. You can have exemptions December 31st, or I think it's June 30th, right? Yeah. So at least the hit would not be a full year. It would be half a year or less. But nevertheless, I still feel we should keep looking for a solution because the homeowner in these categories barely qualify for their loans. And then when they're hit with a $4,000 tax liability bill, many of them, struggle to pay for it. And so, and especially if the council or the county is responsible for delaying the occupancy, which oftentimes is the case, then we should try a little harder to take some of the burden off of these new homeowners. So without objections, this matter will be deferred.
Chair.
Yeah.
No objections.
Yes.
Chair,
Vice Chair Rollins?
real quick. Mahalo, Chair. So I guess I heard you say in your final remarks that we don't have the software and we would need additional staffing. So I guess, I don't know if you know, or if maybe Director can answer the question about if the software currently exists, how much does it cost and how much more staff? Because, we know that most things are possible with the right amount of resources. But the question is, whether we have those resources.
Director Martin?
Thank you, Chair. So our code is structured all together. So it establishes a July 1 lien date for taxes and a January 1 date for assessment purposes. And that's the way our software is programmed. And we share software with all 4 counties to reduce costs. So I think if we changed, the lien date, just for a few properties, I'm not sure that we could change that software and continue sharing it. And like I said, I think there are other ways to accomplish this without doing a on-the-fly adjustment.
Vice Chair Rollins Fernandez?
Okay, mahalo, Director. Mahalo, Chair.
Okay. I wouldn't characterize it, Marcy, as on the fly, considering we've been working at this for weeks. But what about Tom Crowley's suggestion of giving the Board of Tax Review the power to exempt these folks that come in appeal decisions? Can we create an ordinance to do that? Why are you looking over here? Okay, what if we did that?
Well, I have concerns about placing discretionary power into the hands of individuals. I feel everyone should be following the same code and the same rules. Another concern would be, well, it might benefit those people who appeal, but what about the people who don't appeal? So I think that, one set of laws and rules for everybody is more transparent and fair. But again, I think that, we've just got to work on these projects, making sure that people are filing on time. We have addressed the issue about the properties going to board, and that was that late filed exemption. And people so that they haven't filed, then they can file. If they don't qualify as of the assessment date, we need to find another avenue. And as I suggested, the way to do that would be to have these properties assessed as of January 1 and taxed as of July 1 at an affordable tax.
Okay. Corp Counsel, did you have something to say?
Thank you, Chair. Was a question regarding giving more power to the real property board. I think that providing board the power to override law would be a slippery slope and could cause a lot of equality, uniformity issues. But the board does still have the ability to monitor, right, and be the second line of defense for if the laws were, if our policies were applied fairly and in the right way at the finance department, right?
Oh, well, we're not questioning that anybody's treated unfairly. We're just saying that from a practical point of view, not everybody can meet that December 31st deadline because they have no control over the planning department or the permit department in Public Works. Or, let's say the Department of Health hasn't accepted the water well. There's many things beyond the control of the homeowner, the new homeowner to be. So, and because what is controlled is their income, that could quickly get out of hand if they are charged the classification of non-owner occupied versus owner occupied. Yeah, they're like $2 or $5. Okay. We're going to have to take a short recess. We lost quorum. What about Member Paulton is not with us.
Oh, I'm sorry. My video went off. I'm here.
Apparently. Okay. Oh, she's still here. Okay. Thank you. So do you want to answer the question?
Oh, sorry, can you restate the question?
Well, we're talking about a young, well, no, I shouldn't say young, but a new homeowner that is subject to a lot of things beyond his or her control. So it's not that simple to apply for an exemption on 12/31 when their home is not ready and because of some external issue, the permits aren't ready, the water's not ready, the sewer's not, something's not ready. So they have to wait and wait and wait until all of those things are in order, which could be by then, let's say March of the following year. And so their tax liability will be based on non-owner occupied.
I think it's possible for the board of review to have that power if the law is changed. Right now, they have to follow the policies, support the policies of the department.
Right, and I'm suggesting we change the law. Okay. Peter, did you have your hand up? No?
No, Chair, but just a quick comment. We've been spending months on this issue, and I think to try to remedy the situation at the appellate level, I think would be a mistake. From what I heard Mr. Crowley say, is that there is an opinion from Corporation Counsel previously advising against that. And so, I think we would probably have to look into that and see, where to go from there. But I wouldn't advise trying to fix the issue by granting, the appellate board more powers. I think we need to look at what powers do we have according to the law, and if doing something like that is even, permissible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
We've come to the conclusion that the world is against us. There is an answer out there, and we're going to find it. But in the meantime, any objections to deferring this item? Okay, so ordered. Next item. James?
Chair, the next item on the agenda is RPTR 7. This is for Bill 142, 2025, on the home exemption and long-term rental exemption from real property tax.
Okay, you're going to ask for testimony?
Yes, Chair. So we don't have any individuals signed up to testify on RPTR 7 at this time, so we'll do a last call. If there's anyone who'd like, Mr. Crowley would like to testify.
Mr. Crowley. Excuse me,
I
Mr.
have something
Crowley.
to say about everything.
1 second. Let the record show that a non-member Paulton is here joining us in the chambers. Welcome.
Aloha, Winala, just here to intro my bill and I'll be gone.
Okay, well, good luck. So far, we're not doing too well. Member Crowley, I'm not Member Crowley, Mr. Crowley.
I am glad that Member Paulton is here because it is her amendment to this that I have some concern about. I support this bill. I think that it helps in the situation where someone does choose to offer their property for a long-term rental and would have to wait a long time for the tax benefit to kick in. Member Paulton put forward a change in 3.48450.3 that I don't fully grasp the reasoning for, and perhaps she'll make it clear, that this would be an alternate way of someone getting a home exemption. And the idea that they must have lived on the island for 10 years and the property must have previously been a TVR, I don't see the need for that. I don't care what the property was previously used as or whether or not the person has lived on the island for 10 years. If the policy decision is that you would like to be able to grant these exemptions in a faster way, then I would encourage this portion of the bill not to be added, but the portion that is being changed above might help with some of this delay in creating these changes in the tax bill. I'm now hearing from the department that there is a technical reason for why the software that we use doesn't necessarily support these mid-year changes. So again, I would encourage you to do something creative to address that, whether it be creating a fund that we refund the money from to these folks and you let the taxes sit. Someone had brought that idea forward before. But again, we're trying to make it a very practical way that if someone does qualify for a homeowner exemption and or wants to change their use to long-term rental and therefore qualify for a long-term rental exemption, they shouldn't have to wait up to 18 months to have that happen. And if I can just take a moment to say, I appreciate the chairs taking my recommendation for giving the Board of Review some more power. I take exception to the department or the idea that granting them more power would be subject contrary to law. The point is, we changed the law to give them more power. And isn't that the whole reason for the board to begin with, to substitute their good judgment for what is kind of an injustice in the law to allow them to fix that. I don't think the board would abuse that power, but I would like to see the law change to give them the opportunity to use that power. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any clarifying questions? If not, next testifier.
Chair, there's currently no one else signed up to testify on RPTR 7, so we'll do a last call. If there's anyone who'd like to testify on this item, please identify yourself now. On Teams, you can do that by using the raise hand function. We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one else to testify on this item.
Okay, Director Martin, do you have any opening comments on this one? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to close testimony. Any objections to closing public testimony on this item and accepting written testimony? And so ordered. Director Martin?
Thank you, Chair. So this one provides some language similar to the Big Island's half-year exemption, which I think was one iteration of Bill 146, and then there is a qualifying criteria in 450C3. So again, I'm a little concerned because I'm not sure if that criteria is just for the home exemption or if it's for the home exemption and long-term rental exemption. That would be one clarification we would need. And also, I feel that we had said in a previous meeting that we were able to implement the half-year exemption for the home exemption. And I would suggest that we start there to see how the program goes before we would fold in the long-term rental exemption, just so that we could see how much work it is and how much the system, needs modifications and whatnot. So those would be my two comments. Thank you.
Members, Member Paulton.
Do you want opening comments for me?
Yes, opening comments since this is your proposal.
Okay, yes, when we went to the Hawaii State Association of Counties conference, we heard how Hawaii County does that mid-year, and I know in previous committees it was said that's not good enough, but I figure it's a starting point and it's better than nothing, especially with the STRs coming online. In response to the feedback, I don't have it's okay with me if it applies to any category and not just STRs. In response to Director Martin, I'm okay with starting with just the home exemption and seeing how it goes and moving to the long-term rental if that's the direction that it's going, or not, if it's too difficult and unwieldy to administer. I don't know how many local people purchase homes in a year or mid-year, and that it would be very difficult to administer, but I'm not the one administering it, so I will take their word for it. The 10 years wasn't a change. I believe it was in the original version, and the purpose of that is we're trying to incentivize this for our existing residents rather than folks that move here to take housing away from our existing residents, because we need to house our existing residents. And yeah, it's just, over the years, I've gotten a lot of complaints about when people buy a home and how long it takes for them to become owner occupied. Not if they moved here and bought a home and don't qualify it. That's not the concern. It's if they live here, they bought a home, and how long it takes for them to get into it. And so the homeowner's exemption form is one aspect of it, and then the rate is the other aspect. And other than that, I would direct questions to Mr. Hanano, who helped me draft this.
Members, do you have any questions for any of the resource folks?
Clarifying. Oh, we're done with testimony, so we can ask any kind.
Mm-hmm. Any questions? Okay, I have a question. My famous question. My concern is with Bill 9, okay? Assuming it's going to pass. Now, before I was worried about the new homeowner moving into the house for the first time. Worried that this person is going to be charged the non-owner occupant rate. In the case of Bill 9 people, they're going to be charged the STR rate unless something changed. Now that's like 5 times higher than the non-owner occupant rate. That's why I was trying to see how can we give them some relief. But we did in our last talk, I remember Director Martin, you did say that every year there are 750 homes built. Didn't you say that? So we're talking about a finite number. So in the case of STRs, I mean, how many units are you thinking that are going to be bought?
Okay, Chair, so the 750 is half of the home exemption count. We get about 1,500 new applications a year. So if we did a half year, that's a guess that we would get the 750 applicants. So I just want to use that figure as a contrast to that long-term rental that we're hoping to get, 4, 5, 6,000. So half of that would be a lot. So that's where I was saying just start with the home exemption first. And yes, the half-year exemption would help someone who bought a TVR property. Right now, we don't have very many people who go from TVR to owner-occupied. I think it's less than 100. And so if you just did a half-year exemption with no qualifying criteria, they would be in that 750 bucket, because I do think, to maintain fairness, it would be nice to have it available to everyone. So when we met, we had talked about the Bill 9, and we had talked about the amortization period, which was, I think, 3 to 5 years. And so, their ideas for those properties if they transition to owner occupied, maybe we could go back to the January 1 and July 1, and that would provide an incentive to the seller as well. Then the seller would get a portion of the credit, but the code in its entirety, would allow an adjustment going back to the beginning of the year.
I wasn't following you. Somehow I lost you along the way, but so you feel that there's some kind of solution to this that's fair to everybody? Oh, Director.
There is a solution that for the Bill 9, that you could reduce the property taxes back to July 1 and the assessment back to January 1. And then the portion that was already paid would be reduced, and that would go to the seller, and then the buyer would receive the other portion of the benefit.
So how many people are you expecting to do this paper adjustment?
Well, we aren't, quite sure yet. I don't think there's really any way.
It depends on how many local
predict.
people buy a house
Right, but
or a condo.
I'm talking about how many people can you handle?
Chair, well, like I said, currently we get between, we'll just throw out a wider range, maybe 1,000 and 2,000 applicants for the home exemption a year.
Okay. I see Member Johnson has joined us. Welcome, Member Johnson. Did you have your hand up?
Oh, thanks for recognizing me, Chair. I just want to let you know I'm alone in my side of the or in my private residence. But I'm here for the discussion. I just, really hope that we can come up with some solutions. Thank you, Chair. If I get, are we doing round robin, or I'll just raise my hand?
We're starting, well, you missed one, but we're on the second item, number
Yes.
7. Yeah, number 7.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess from my perspective, it's better than nothing. And as local people, Member Johnson's Bill 111 from a while back was to give preference to the folks who have lived here longer. A lot of times when you develop housing, it's like, who are you developing it for? We're developing it for, we're doing this for our local people. A lot of times our local people have to compete with continental people that move in. And so that was part of the 10 years, to give them a little edge against that kind of competition. It's basically, I guess, kind of like a pilot starting program. I'm cool to leave the long-term rental exemption off for now and give them a chance to implement the half year similar to Hawaii County. And like I said, it's not a be-all and end-all. We're not giving refunds yet with this bill or anything. It's just cutting down that time frame and similar to Hawaii County.
Director?
Thank you, Chair. So regarding qualifying criteria, I would have you refer to the circuit breaker bill, which I think the original circuit breaker says 5 years.
I'm okay with 5 years.
Then the new circuit breaker we added was much longer.
Oh, 10 years? 20?
Yeah, that was for the more unlimited circuit breaker. I just will say that from experience, as you all know, because you receive probably, a portion of the input that we receive, the people who do move here, react to, qualifying criteria like that.
I understand.
Any more questions or discussion on this matter?
Call for the question.
Well, we have to work on some changes, right? Some adjustments.
You need a motion?
You're changing the
If the goal was to create the half-year exemption, we would need some additional language put in the bill.
So you would prefer this be deferred one more time to get all those language changes done? And then did you talk about, instead of the 10-year restriction, would you change it to 5?
We could look at some of the qualifying criteria to mimic circuit breaker. That would be an idea, so that it would mimic what's already in place of the code. But yeah, I think we do need to, then, we could work on this, and we do need a little bit more qualifying language as well that would then allow this to work smoothly.
Okay, I'll go back to the WEIR meeting then.
Okay, all right, thanks. Any final comments or questions? Member Johnson?
Chair. So if I understand the department's going to defer this, and I would support deferral because I still think we should have it upon change and faster. 6 months doesn't seem, it seems like we could do better, so I would like for them to kind of make it even faster, but I'm willing to defer it. Just want to say that our bureaucracy shouldn't be in the way of helping out these people, especially in these with Bill 9 coming on. So just wanted to add that for comment. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so you're not opposed to deferring this one more time? Okay. Yeah, we do want to get this passed, as soon as possible. Is there a deadline on this, Director?
We would need it passed before the June 30th deadline.
June 30th, oh, okay, no rush. Before June 30th, okay.
Chair,
Director?
sorry. So that would be the deadline, so we would, a few months before that, so that
Okay.
people could apply.
Okay, we would have to pass it sooner than that, probably in the next month or two, before we expire, before this committee expires. So we're on track, okay? Any other questions, comments? If not, any objections to deferring this item? So ordered, matter is deferred. The next item is RPTR 16. And staff, do we have testifiers?
Yes, Chair, we have two individuals signed up to testify. The first person would be the individual logged in as the Royal House of Hawaii, to be followed by Tom Crowley.
Aloha, this is the Royal House of Hawaii and Alorio land title descendant and holder of Manua and Hewa Hewa. I'm wondering again, because you guys never even answer my question, how are any of these legal, and how is it legal for regular people to file for any kind of exemption? Because as you guys should all know, all of Hawaii is Alorio titled Royal Patented, and our Alorio titled Royal Patented lands are currently being frauded from non-descendants, and the descendants have not been contacted or notified. And I suggest that you guys should do that and call them to the table. And I suggest and I demand you guys return the lands, because it is being highly frauded.
Hello? I think your mic went off. He went off too. Oh, we all went
Crime
off.
on an international level, frauding Royal Patented Alorio titled lands, and it needs to be returned, because as you guys as we all see, the information is being changed on that lands. So you have to, who are the descendants of the Royal Patented lands and the king, and you guys haven't done that at all, and that's a major violation. And no one that is not a descendant should not be able to file any kind of exemption. And if they are, that is a violation and a crime on an international level of fraud. And please correct me if I'm wrong, because I know I'm right. And yeah, there's no clear title. Where's the clear title? Can you guys prove these? Because there's no clear title. Where's the clear title? Because their title is not a royal patent title. So let me see that. I want to see it. Please produce a royal. There's no royal patent, and the royal patented land is being frauded. And how is there still no action being done? And return the lands as it should be, and return all the Hawaiians to their lands, because. And if you guys don't know what that is, you guys should not be qualified to be in the seats that you are in. Because you guys should know what a royal patent is. The Alorio title, Ano Alorio, aka Pala Pala Sila Nui. Yeah. And it's written, it's currently being erased from everyone's TMK house paperwork, which is weird, because it's supposed to be showing the royal patent and the LCA Land Commission Award from the Mahele, And if you guys need help, I'll gladly help because it's so simple. And you guys should know this already. And if you guys don't, you guys need to get out of those chairs ASAP.
Thank you. Any questions for the testifier? If not, thank you.
Chair, the last person we have signed up to testify on this item is Tom Crowley.
Aloha, Council. I see this bill, which is attempting to provide more of an exemption for the long-term rentals and I guess an even greater exemption for those who would qualify as affordable. Clearly, just a policy decision for the council to make, but I'm not sure how successful it will be because I talk to a lot of people and I try to encourage them to sign up for the long-term rental exemption when I know that they have long-term rentals and they haven't. And some people don't want to sign up because of the 1 year thing. They don't want to, commit for a whole year. They're happy with their month-to-month situation that they're at with their tenants. And for those who live on the property, an extra $100,000 exemption at our current rates of $1.65 is $165 a year. Most people are not incentivized by that. And just as increasing it by another $100,000, I'm not sure if that incentivizes them enough as well for the affordable part of it, in increasing it. I'm not sure that there's going to be enough bang for the buck there. Or not the department can administrate checking on rents and making sure someone is filing for to provide a lower rent. So I support the goal here. And I think that the program has been tremendously successful in that we have 4,163 properties in the long-term category right now. And we're trying to get maybe that same number out of the non-owner occupied category and incentivize them to come into this and rent long-term. But I'm not sure that an extra $100,000 is going to do it, particularly for the owner-occupied properties. But again, this is completely a policy decision for the council to determine whether or not they want to be more generous with these exemptions, and for the department to tell you, do you think you can manage this with now we're putting on their shoulders, making sure that the rent doesn't exceed and continues at that rate and so forth. So that's my monologue on this. I wish you luck.
Thank you. Any questions, members? No questions. Thank you, Tom. Any more testifiers?
Chair, there's currently no one else signed up to testify on this item, so we'll do a last call. If there's anyone who'd like to testify on this item, please identify yourself now. On Teams, you can do that by raising your hand. We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one else to testify on this item.
Any objections to closing public testimony on Raptor 16? Okay, so ordered. So, Director, do you have comments to make on this one?
Thank you, Chair. We are here
Make comments first. It's my bill.
Can you repeat what you just said?
Can I provide comments on my bill first?
Oh, sure. I thought this was Yuki's. All right. Yours is the last one. Okay. No.
Which bill are we on?
No, you're right.
I thought you said one. Oh, okay.
Okay. Could you provide comments on this? Opening comments?
Mahalo, Chair.
Okay. Oh, shucks. Go ahead. Hurry up.
So I just for you, Chair, I created a PowerPoint. So I'm going to share it now.
How many pages? How many pages?
10. It's like 9, because there's like a title page, and then there's like a Mahalo slide.
Oh.
And then, so before I start my presentation, some background, and Chair, you know this because you were on the 2019 property tax reform TIG. And so we discussed the idea of long-term rental incentives and what would that look like. And then, so that's how this program was born. It became both a classification and exemption. And it was discussed that at some point, it could be just one or the other and not both. And that the assumption that we've made was that it would, the savings that was realized by the property owner would be passed on to the tenants, the cost savings. And so now that this program has existed, I think for either 3 or 4 years, folks have, learned, a lot of folks have learned, and this program has grown. So now that it's panned out to this point, it was always the intention to incentivize affordable long-term rentals and not just long-term rentals. And so this would be a mechanism that provides, that ensures the cost savings is passed to the tenants. So that it's not taken in isolation, that it works in conjunction with the non-owner occupied rates going higher to adjust, and then increasing the incentives for owner occupied and long-term rentals. However, we decide that through policy. And so initially my thought was that we would create a new classification for affordable long-term rental. And after discussion with our resource folks, director and real property tax administrator, their recommendation was that I instead create an exemption, and then the long-term rental classification would apply to both long-term rental and affordable long-term rental. So then I was going to add a new subsection in 3.48.466. But the recommendation, again, from the department, since there's also the section for the fire, that I just create a new section. So now you'll see in my ASF that there's a proposed 3.48.467, which is a new section instead of a subsection under existing 3.48.466. And this new section would, in order to qualify for this higher exemption, is that you would have to rent at 70% of or below of 70% HUD fair market rents. And then this program wouldn't start until fiscal year 28. So it wouldn't preclude Member Sugimura's proposal to increase the long-term rental exemption, which would apply in FY27. Okay, now that I've done my intro, I'm going to do my share screen. Oh, okay, here. All right. Let me know when you can see it. Oh, does it look like
Now, yes,
presenter mode? Does it
Yes.
look like presenter mode on your end?
we can see it.
It's not supposed to be presenter mode, but as long as you can see it, I'm just gonna do it, if that's okay with everyone. Is that okay with everyone, or do you
Yes.
want me to?
Okay, it's working.
Okay, there we go. All right, Bill 160, 2025, Affordable Long-Term Rental Valuation. So here are the exemptions as they currently exist in FY25, and then the proposed affordable long-term rental exemption. So homeowner exemption is $300,000, long-term rental exemption $200,000, homeowner and long-term rental exemption on the same property is $300,000, and then the proposed affordable long-term rental exemption at $400,000, and the homeowner plus affordable long-term rental exemption would be $500,000. And I'm open to discussion on the amounts. This is just a starting point. Okay, so here's the homeowner exemption. It's under 3.4.450 for 300,000. Here's the long-term rental valuation. So it's after 2022, it's 200,000. Oh, that's very tiny. And this is the section that discussed if you have a long-term rental and a homeowner occupied property on the same property and how that exemption would apply. You know what? I'm not going to read it to you. You're welcome, Chair. So the proposed new affordable long-term rentals is basically everything is the same except that it would be 70% of fair market rents as established by HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development under the U.S. Starting tax years 2027, property at 400,000. So that's the subsection A. And then the subsection B would be the owner occupied and the long-term rental for a combined amount of $500,000 exemption off of the total of valuation of the property. Here is 2026 fair market rent, HUD for Maui County. And then here's 70% of that 2026 Maui County fair market rent. So one bedroom, $2,000, 70% of that $2,000 would be $1,400. Two bedroom, 2624, 70% would be $1,837. Three bedroom, 3398, 2379, and then four bedroom, 4236 and 2967, 65, sorry. Okay. And I can make these slides available to everyone. And so here's the math on it. So if a property is valued at $1 million, here are the exemptions. The assessed value after the exemption, or the adjusted values, and then the rate. So that's the classification. Real property tax rate for long-term rental is $2.95 for $1 million and less, or $1 million below, and then the savings. And as you heard in testimony, it's not a significant amount, in difference, because basically it's every $100,000 is $295 off their property tax. So I'm open to the discussion of increasing it. I'm also open to the discussion of making it, adjusting the 70% of fair market value to 60 or to 80. Happy to have that conversation. Mahalo.
Oh, very good, very good. Okay, that's,
Can someone make it stop? Oh, there it is. Okay, stop.
Okay, so now we have the director. Did we close public testimony? We did, okay. Director, comments?
Thank you, Chair. So the department has read over the bill, and we just have some clarifying questions. And I think our questions could probably be answered by the charts. Do you have them printed out for us, or?
Could you put your chart back on the screen?
Which chart would you like to see, Director?
Okay.
It was right at the end, the 200, 300, 400, 500,000, the regular long-term with owner occupied, affordable. Yeah, I think it was like one of the last pages.
Okay, let me know if I did my math wrong. Sorry, I did it on Excel so that I would.
Try page 10, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay, one moment. Yeah, it was the last slide, I think, that you're asking. Oops. Okay. Okay, go ahead. And if I use the wrong term, sorry.
Okay, so the first clarifying question would be, do you want to change the exemption amount for 3.48.66?
Oh, okay, like to 300,000 instead of 200,000?
Yes.
That's up to everyone.
Okay, so.
I mean, we can.
yeah.
So basically, if we increase the regular long-term rental program, the exemption, then we would also need to increase the affordable long-term rental exemption in order to make the affordable long-term rental exemption more attractive.
Okay, so with that being said, my only comment would be, if we change it, number one should say for tax years beginning on or after July 1, and then the year that it changes. And then I think the math on 3.48.466C2 A and B would need to be reserved. I mean, relooked at.
So you're looking at the bill?
Yes.
You want to look at the bill instead?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so for 3.48.467 B2B, that's correct, right? So if the home exemption was 300,000, then
So Director, you're basically talking about these, yeah?
Yeah.
So the homeowner exemption, the long-term rental exemption, the homeowner plus long-term rental exemption, affordable rental exemption, and then homeowner and affordable rental exemption.
Okay, we got it. Thank you. Yes, that clears that up.
Yes, I made this PowerPoint more for me than everyone else, so that in my mind, it was clear.
Okay, those would be my only questions.
Okay. You want me to stop sharing my screen?
Director, you have any more use for the slides? The slides?
No, but I can see that it might be a good idea to have them printed out here if we need to reference them again.
Okay. Could you email that to us or put it in the chat? So staff could make sure we get a copy of all that. All right. So do you have any comments to share, Director?
Thank you. So my comments would be that, this would be a policy decision. And right now we would not know the revenue impacts, but obviously if you increase the exemption for the lower rents, then there would be a cost associated with that. And then we would set up the exemption and it would be available for fiscal. So they would apply in the year 2026 to be eligible in the fiscal 28. Is that right? Yes.
Oh, because December 31st this year is too soon, so you're talking about next year.
Yes, yes. Thank you. And that's all the comments I have.
All right. Any further comments from the maker of the proposal?
No, I posed my questions for discussion if members wanted to discuss the exemption amounts or the percentage of the HUD's fair market rents. And it should be already written to not apply to next fiscal year. That was that section,
Right.
but if it's not, that was the intention.
I think most of us would like to know the approximate impact. Is that something that you could give us an estimate on, Director?
Thank you, Chair. So we can review the applications that we currently have on file and make an estimate.
Okay, that sounds good. Any further questions or comments to the Director? Anybody? All
How
right.
many properties?
Pardon me?
Madam Chair. Director, how many participants in the long-term rental program? I think like 4,000-ish.
We'll look it up real fast.
Okay. So even if it was like 100% of the participants in the in the long-term rental program, all provided, charge their tenants 70% of HUD's fair market value or fair market rent, it would be $295. It would be $1.18 million. So it's like $4,000 times $295, which is the additional $100,000.
Carrie, go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, it's not a lot
So,
relative to our budget.
Go ahead.
Chair Lee.
Just
So right at
louder,
the moment, there's
little louder.
4,173 parcels in the long-term rental classification.
Do you ever?
So my math was like good. It's pretty good.
Okay, very good. Carrie, do you ever verify that these are bona fide long-term rental operations?
Yes, they do.
Thank you. Yes, we do have a compliance team that does look over applications. We're constantly cross-referencing them. So we do ask for their long-term rental application along with their signed one-year lease that they have. So we cross-reference owners, we cross-reference the tenants to verify that tenants aren't living in multiple places with multiple contracts. We do check periodically different ones. We spot check them. So we are doing our best to monitor that they're bona fide and they really are renting to a long-term tenant as best as we can.
Okay. So, if they rent for 10 months because the tenant had to leave, and then they, a couple months later, they find another long-term renter, do you, how do you deal with those situations?
Thank you, Chair. So that is something that we do get. And actually, we've been really lucky in a lot of ways. So a lot of people in this program so far have come forward. If somebody had to leave, they'll come and tell us, okay, I had my tenant in there for 10 months. They had to leave for a reason. And the tenant will a lot of times write a letter, I had to leave for a job in another state. And if they can get somebody in quickly, then we will keep their exemption in place. And then they can do a new long-term rental at that point in time.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, members? Member Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. I got a question about the utilities and how this comes into factoring the fair market rent. It's meant to include utilities, and I wonder if that's the intent here. And if the landlord doesn't, then the max they should charge should be like minus the utility allowance. And I think we have a utility allowance in the county that's specific. So how would that interact with people in the utilities?
Carrie? Ms. Stockwell?
At this moment, we haven't really been keeping track of if they're renting with or without utilities. So that would be something that we would have to take into account. And I'd have to relook at the, yeah, I mean, it's something we would rather not do, have to worry about utilities
Yeah.
as well, because that would be another compliance issue then that we'd have to keep track of as well.
Right. Well, I know, like, I'm looking at the document here, it states the County Maui Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program Utility Allowance Schedule, and it just tells you, like, how many bedrooms and how much money. Like, for a 2-bedroom, they give you a $230 for electric in the allowance. So I'm just curious if the department's following that. It sounds like you don't do it now, and it's just something to consider, right? Because the utility bills are so high. And that's a way that I'd like to hear the department's ideas on if there's a way to start, factoring the utilities in.
Chair.
Yes. Vice
We
Chair
don't
Rollins
have-
Fernandez.
So this doesn't exist yet. We have to pass the bill first. So right now, it doesn't matter how much they rent to, the rent is, as long as they're renting to someone for long term. So if this is an additional consideration, we can discuss it. But this isn't something that the department has initiated. This is my bill. I introduced it. And so I'm saying that as council members who've set the policy, if that's something that you would like for the department to consider, then that's language that we would put into this bill when we pass it. There's a policy we would create.
Yeah, sure. I think I'm just wondering if the HUD guidelines on utilities have been factored in, but because they keep track of it in a different department, a different topic, different bill, and I get it, but I'm just saying are those utilities factored in?
So I just put the HUD fair market rent. I'm trying to make it as easy to administer for them as possible, without having to increase their staff by more.
I hear you. Okay, thanks for that clarification. Thank you, Chair.
Any more comments, questions? Yes, Member Sugimura.
Good discussion. I wondered, these bills are all not signed by Corp Counsel. So you're nodding your head. You're going to.
I'm not, yes, I believe that it should go through the full review process as we have a new internal review process. That's really important. And, but I don't think there's substantively anything that, off of the top of my head right now, but we have 4 people that review these before they get signed.
Including her in a meeting yesterday or the day before. We've been working closely with Corp Counsel.
So you're fine with all of this.
And as a matter of fact, if we had no more questions, I was going to recommend that we recommend approval on this one. Any objections to that?
So moved.
Okay. Second? Okay, moved by Committee Vice Chair Rollins Fernandez, seconded by Council Vice Chair Sugimura, to recommend passage of this one on the first reading, this bill, number 16. Item 16, Bill 168. Right? Okay. Any further discussion? Member Rollins Fernandez.
Okay. Mahalo, Chair. Mahalo to the department for working together with me to get the bill to where it's at. I guess my question, because I agree with the testifiers that the proposed exemption amount, it may not be attractive enough. As I said, each 100,000 exemption is only $295. Since this program wouldn't start until the next fiscal year, so not this upcoming fiscal year, but the next one. If we decide to increase the exemption after, testing the waters to see, who would qualify for this program if it was attractive enough to understand what the financial impact would be for you, Chair, then we could at any point increase that exemption amount before was that? I think it's before December 31st, 2028. No, 27. Yeah.
We have to check on that. I think exemptions might be, different, follow a different, Director, do the exemptions follow a different deadline? Because we were talking about, we'd like to get this started, but maybe it's not enough, and we want to add to the exemption amount?
Chair, thank you. I think you'll know more at certification. So what will happen is we'll begin the application period January 2nd. And then at certification, we'll kind of see where, our values are. And then you'll have time from then. People will still be applying. So if you wanted to change the amount, you would have
Mid-year? You mean mid-year?
Yeah, during 2026. But at least we'd still be getting the applications in. And of course, to not catch people off, to not surprise people, you probably wouldn't want to lower the amount, right? You'd want to increase the exemption.
Okay, you got me on that one. We're trying to provide incentives, right? Okay.
Sounds good. Mahalo, Director.
Okay.
Mahalo, Chair.
Okay. Okay, any more discussion on this motion? Staff is asking for a quick recess, 2 minutes? 2 minutes, everybody, to 3:24. Recess. Will the meeting please reconvene? We had some questions from the department. Director Martin?
Thank you, Chair. So we were previously discussing the new affordable long-term rental exemption and the amounts. Also, on Bill 168, it does increase the standard long-term rental exemption from 200,000 to 300,000. So I wanted to know if that was the intent to increase that exemption amount as well.
Committee Vice Chair Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. Mahalo, Director. I did catch that. Also, I need to make a motion to amend the Bill 168 with my ASF.
Okay.
So to answer Director's question, that was a mistake on my part. So all I'm gonna do is just make the motion to amend my bill to add the new section. And I'm not gonna touch the existing standard real property tax, long-term rental program.
Is that clarification good? Director?
Yes.
Okay, any more questions or clarifications? So we do have the motion on the floor, the main motion, and you're going to offer an amendment? Okay.
Yep. I move to amend Bill 168, 2025 to add a new section 4 to establish Code Section 3.48.467 entitled Affordable Long-Term Rental Standards for Valuation.
All right, second. Moved by Committee Vice Chair Rollins Fernandez, seconded by Council Vice Chair Sugimura to add the, well, is that a substitution? Your ASF is a substitution for the, or it's just an amendment?
No, it was supposed to be, oh no, it doesn't look like, yeah, oh yeah, it was supposed to be, but Director Martin caught my mistake. So
Okay.
I'm gonna strike section 2 and section 3 and just have that new section to replace section 2.
Okay, the amendment as made by Committee Vice Chair Rollins Fernandez. Any further discussion, or any discussion at all on this proposed amendment? Committee Vice Chair, no? Anybody?
Oh, I just said mahalo.
Okay, okay, that's a good discussion. Anybody else? All those in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
So I see 1, 2, 3, 4 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. Now the main motion as amended. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Chair.
Yes, Committee Vice Chair Rollins Fernandez.
Whoever you are. I guess I should include any non-substantive changes.
Okay. And your motion includes any non-substantive changes. Any objections to that addition, members? No objections, so ordered. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the main motion as amended, please raise your hand, say aye. I see 4 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. Very good. So that takes us to the last item. James?
Yes, Chair. So the last item on the agenda is RPTR 17. That would be for Bill 181, increasing the amount of the home and long-term rental exemptions from real property tax.
All right, we are going to have testimony.
Yes, Chair. So the first person signed up to testify is the Royal House of Hawaii, to be followed by Tom Crowley. Oh, Chair, it appears the Royal House of Hawaii is no longer connected to the meeting, so we'll just move on to Tom Crowley.
Mr. Crowley.
Aloha, committee. probably feels good to get something done, right? So congratulations on that bill. But I do have comments to make about increasing exemptions, okay? Because we now have a tax policy, if you will, that is progressive, that charges lower tax rate for lower value and a higher tax rate on higher value. Understand that when you increase exemptions, you are disproportionately giving the guy at the higher end more of a benefit. For example, the bill that you just passed on a homeowner at the lowest rate, they would benefit by $165 by the extra $100,000 exemption. But for a long-term rental property at the highest rate, which is $8.50, they would benefit by $850 on that. So that's just, because of the policy you set, that's what happens when we increase the exemptions. And this piece of legislation to increase the exemption across the board, I don't know if it's called for it this time or not. It probably would have been better last year because the assessment amounts went up so much last year. I believe the department might be able to give you a little more insight to this. Next year, we actually are going to see valuations go down somewhat because there has been a very big slowdown in the market. So increasing the exemption is only going to result in you probably having to increase the tax rates to try to make everything, balanced next year. So, and again, I want to emphasize my point that increasing the exemption is going to disproportionately help the higher value properties get a lower tax bill than it will the lower value properties. And there's another group that I want to make sure that you're aware of, that these exemptions may not help as much as you want, and that's the lowest value properties. The lowest value properties that already maybe get a homeowner exemption of $300,000 and then a rate of only $1.65 per thousand may end up paying minimum tax of $300, irregardless of whether they get another $100,000 exemption. It brings their value down even lower, but it doesn't lower their net tax bill below the $300 minimum tax. So again, this is a policy decision for you guys to figure out, but I just want you to understand that you are, if you increase this exemption, helping the people with higher value homes versus lower value homes. And for me personally, I don't like it because I have a bed and breakfast, right? So the home that I live in isn't eligible for any exemption. So the more you push the exemption up, the more I'm missing out on. But that's not the reason for me giving you the testimony that I am right now. So there you go. I really would like to know from the department, what do they anticipate the overall valuations to be next year versus this past year? I guess they're going to be lower, but I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the testifier? If not, thank you very much, Mr. Crowley. Any more testifiers?
Chair, there's currently no one else signed up to testify on RPTR 17, so we'll do a last call. If there is anyone else who'd like to testify on this item, please identify yourself now. On Teams, you can do that by using the raise hand function. We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Chair, there is no one else to testify on this item.
Members, any objections to closing public testimony and accepting written testimony on this item? So ordered. So now we have the director to provide comments. And then we'll ask you to.
Thank you, Chair. A comment from real property would be, we are in a year where values are staying stagnant or lowering a little bit. So an increase in the exemption, again, may not be as needed this year as opposed to a year where values are increasing. So, the real property tax office, we will keep an eye on values as they're going up and down. And at any point, if they do start moving exponentially up, at that point, we can let the council know that at that point, change in exemption may be warranted or needed. Thank you.
Vice Chair Sugimura,
Yeah, so I
you're
have
the introducer of this
Yeah, thank you.
item.
I'll have more questions once we can.
A little
but-
louder,
Oh, sorry.
once we can.
Once we can. So sorry, I had
Oh,
just
yeah,
had
that's
dental
right.
work
Yeah.
done, so I'm kind of still not able to
Okay.
talk well. But the reason why I came up with this is last year during our deliberations, we did ask the department if we could increase the homeowner's exemption. At that time, it was too late. And it was suggested that we would take it up for this year. So that's what this effort is about. And as we all know, we were hearing about the high assessments that were coming out from our constituents as we received many complaint letters or concern letters, which we all refer to RPT, to deal with and answer their questions. So that's why I came up with this. And during discussions, I would like the department then to, get more into this, as I'm hearing that maybe they don't want to do this now. Let's talk about it further and take public testimony. Thank you.
Oh, we already did take the public testimony.
Oh,
You mean,
so we're done.
during,
Yeah, now.
during the budget time?
Now.
Or now?
Yeah. Or are you going to open it up again? Okay. If you're not going to, then
We already did, I believe. We already did.
and it was closed. Okay.
Yep.
So I guess we heard from real property tax, then the timing of this, you're saying if we don't do this now, that we can look at your assessments once it comes out and you'll let us know and we can then increase this to the increase of home exemption at that time? I thought we couldn't.
Director?
Yes, that is correct, that we did have that discussion last year as a result of the values increasing. So you would need to increase the exemption now
Right.
for this next assessment year. What Carrie was talking about was just giving you information, in regards to what Tom was saying, that we don't foresee values increasing like they were last year, but this is a policy decision. And yes, it would, be consistent with what you were talking about last year based upon the value increase from last year. And then, of course, your other option is always changing the rates or tiers as well. So there's a menu item of options each year. But this one has to be done now before we send out notices, as opposed to your rates and tiers can be done at certification.
So how much of an impact or difference are you seeing with the assessments? I mean, because you don't really finalize it. So what are you seeing, and do you have any numbers that you could share with us? I know it's early, so that we can make sound decisions.
Thank you for
Carrie?
that question. So right now, the assessors are still finalizing their numbers and going through the models and checking the numbers. We have done some of the neighborhood benchmarks, and I'm reviewing them at the moment. A lot of them are decreasing or staying stagnant, and I could get you better numbers in the next few weeks. Kind of very elementary, I guess, numbers, so you could see what is coming out of real property. Very basic, I guess, increases or decreases, preliminary numbers, just kind of a decrease or an increase or a stagnant, kind of what we're seeing right now. In general. And we could also get you, that's something we could look at to see if the exemption increases by $100,000, how much money would be saved all around. We could get that to you as well.
And any implementation considerations?
No, that would be a policy. If that did
Once we
happen,
pass, then you
once
would
it
just
passed, we
proceed?
could just proceed with that, yes.
And then the timing of this, that has to work out with your real property tax assessments. Again, we just said it has to be done now, so we cannot delay this. And
Correct. So the assessment notices, we have to get it to they get mailed out on March 15th, which means that it takes a few weeks to get to the printing company, so we do need to know that's very shortly, so we can finalize all that.
So if we pass this today, or if we don't pass it today, what is the impact to get you to your deadlines?
I think January 30th would be a good timeline, so it would need to be done by January 30th.
So in other words, if we pass this today, if the members agree, and then we bring it up for council first reading, we just have to, first and second, we have to just be done by January 30th.
Correct.
Is that correct? How does that timing work? OCS or?
What are you talking about, first and second reading?
Yeah, because we got to do 2 readings for this. So would we reach the January 31st deadline so that they can do the implementation?
I think we have just December 19th. Oh, yeah, if we have 2 meetings in January. So Marcy, you're saying the deadline is not December 31st, it's January 31st. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that would be the deadline to pass this for an exemption.
But for your January 1st assessment bill.
So you're talking about not this coming year, the following year, it would,
No,
when
the
would it take
language would
effect?
be, it would be the exemption for January 1, 2026, and then it would need to be passed before we do our notice, right? So that the taxpayers can be noticed. So the bill would need to be passed by the end of January.
Okay. So that's doable. Do you feel like, well, I hope.
How about let's let other people ask
Oh,
questions?
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay. Committee Vice Chair Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. So there's the exemption and there's classification. And if you reduce the rate lower, then you achieve the same. So you can either adjust the rate, bring it down, or you can increase the exemption. It has the same effect.
All
and
right.
then you can wait until April.
Member Johnson, did you have questions or comments?
No, I think that's the way I understood it as well. I'm curious of what, I was kind of unclear what the administration is recommending we do. I know they're saying that if we do, we got to do it now if we're going this route. But what does the administration feel? Do they support doing this way as opposed to us changing our rates in April?
Director?
We're neutral. It would be a policy decision.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, I thought I heard you say earlier that it's easier to make the adjustments with the rates when you have more information on the assessments, which you will receive in the next couple of months. Didn't I hear you say that?
So you will deliberate on rates when the assessments have been finalized. So at that point, you really know what you're going to get. Right now, it would just be a projection. Anything you decided on right now would be a projection. So.
I thought I heard Carrie say something about it might be too soon to pass something with this particular proposal before we have a handle on the how the assessments are going, the property assessments.
Right. Well, we don't know what the assessments are going to be. So, yes, you would be passing this without knowing, what the assessments will be. In the past 5 years, we've kind of known that by now we know that values were going up. So this year's just a little different in that we don't have that clear picture of what the certification is going to
When
look
you say
like.
the values are, let's say, not going up this year, at this time, right? They're going, either staying the same or going down. Is that what I heard from you?
Well, we don't know for sure, but we are expecting assessments based upon what we've seen in the market. We aren't expecting big increases like we've had over.
Okay, and these are across the board, residential and commercial, and visitor.
Yes.
Okay. Back to you, Vice Chair Sugimura.
So did you just say you are expecting the assessments to go up? Is that what you just said?
No, I'm saying we don't know what assessments are doing. We don't have information like we've had in previous years showing that assessments are going up. So in previous years, we had, newspaper articles, we had things showing us that values were going up, right? But this year, we don't have that information. That, the information we have is that our values aren't going up like they've gone up in the past few years.
Okay. So,
yes.
Yeah, thanks. This is really important discussion, and I don't want the bill to die. I want us to be able to get more information. I heard loud and clear from my constituents that, the homeowners exemption should be higher because the assessments were higher last year. We had this discussion, and this is a culmination of that discussion, trying to solve some of the frustrations that we were hearing. But Chair, would you also defer this and I could work with the department so that I could get more information so we can have.
Okay. Yeah. Members, any objections to deferring this item?
Objections, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you.
No objections? Okay, so
Thank
ordered.
you. Appreciate it.
All right, that brings us to the end of the calendar.
Chair.
Yes, Vice Chair Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. I don't have any objections to deferring it.
Thank you.
But I did hear what the department say, which is that they would recommend that we wait until we can see what the assessments are. And as I stated earlier, we achieve the same effect by lowering the rates as we do by increasing the exemption. So we can still lower the rates. And I think that would be my preference, to lower the rate on tier 1. And then instead of increasing the exemption, because eventually I'd like to have a more attractive, affordable long-term rental exemption than the standard long-term rental exemption, because I want our tenants, I want our residents to also share in the cost savings, and that is the mechanism to ensure that.
Any final comments? If not, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.